Hi guys, welcome to this year's first Lift Talkie Bit. I hope you've all had a brilliant summer and that you've been enjoying Lift so far. So this first half term we thought that we'd talk about encounters with the King. So we're going to be using the phrase King Jesus a lot because as Christians, me, Louise, Caitlin, we all feel that Jesus is the King of our lives. So I thought that we'd start with some of Jesus's closest friends and see how he changed their lives. Now, Jesus's closest friends were his disciples. Now, disciples is just a really old term for someone who follows someone else. So Jesus' disciples were, strangely, the people who followed Jesus. And the way that Jesus recruited some of his first disciples was a little strange. You see, he was walking along the Lake of Galilee when he saw two fishermen throwing their nets into the sea. One of the fishermen was Andrew, and the other was his brother Peter. Jesus said to them, "Come with me, and I will show you how to bring in people instead of fish." As soon as Andrew and Peter heard these words, they left their nets and followed Jesus. They became his disciples. Peter and Andrew were two of Jesus' first disciples. They'd met Jesus before, so they knew there was something really very, very special about him. And they felt that being his disciples would be far more exciting than being fishermen. They didn't really know he was the Son of God at this point. It wasn't until a lot later on that they discovered he was King Jesus, the creator of the universe. They only knew a little about him, but they still felt that following Jesus would be the most exciting decision they would ever make. It wasn't always easy. Some people refused to believe them when they said that Jesus was the Son of God. Some people got very nasty with them when Jesus was arrested and crucified. Things looked hideous. They looked really, really bad for the disciples. But when Jesus rose from the dead, they knew for certain that being his disciple was the greatest thing they could ever be. King Jesus worked through Peter. Lots of people who Peter prayed for were healed. On one occasion, his shadow alone caused people to be healed. Peter talked to thousands of people at once, and he told them all about King Jesus and how he had changed his life and how he had died on the cross for them, and so that the wrong things they'd done could be forgiven. 5,000 of them became Christians on that day alone. It wasn't always easy being Jesus' disciples, but Peter was glad he put down his nets and followed Jesus because life was so exciting. When Peter was an old man, he was arrested for talking about King Jesus and telling others about how much Jesus loved them. He'd been arrested a few times before, and he'd spent a little bit of time in prison just for telling people about Jesus. But this time was more serious. They beat him, and then they ordered him to be crucified upside down. They nailed him to a wooden cross and left him hanging there until he died. But even then, if you asked Peter, "Are you glad you followed Jesus?" he would have replied, "Yes, of course." And if you had said to him, "Peter, if you hadn't followed Jesus that day, you wouldn't be on this cross now," and he would have said, "I'm glad I followed Jesus. It's the most exciting life anyone could ever have. And now I'm going to be with King Jesus forever in heaven." It's not always easy to be a disciple. It's not always easy to be a Christian. It's not always easy to follow Jesus. But I think it's the most exciting way to live. I hope this has all made some sort of sense, and I hope that you are, if you have any questions that you can ask me, or you can ask Lou, or you can ask Caitlin. we are always happy to talk to you about our faith. If you've got any questions, ask them. If not, we will carry on with whatever it is we're about to do, and I'll hand back over to Mark. Mark. Bye, guys.